So what does Hollywood, and when I say Hollywood, I mean often the studio executives, what do they need to know about this space? And I'm saying the space because it is hard to label, and we discussed that we don't have a label for it. What do they need to know about this audience or this market to treat it more seriously, to get more excited? I didn't tell you guys when I started, I apologize, but I've been in entertainment for 10 years. I was at Lionsgate for 5.5 years. I just left in January to do Synergy TV full time. So I've been inside, I've seen a lot inside of the studios, and I'm really curious what you guys think about what do they need to know about the space?
I think on just a basic level that there's a really huge population of people who are interested in this. And you see it sometimes with breakouts, like with the BLEEP. I mean, I don't know how many times I saw that thing. I was like so excited when I saw it. It was just like everybody I knew was in the conversation. We were all talking about it, and it seems like, you know, everywhere that I look, these are the rooms of people that were, you know, these are people that I see everywhere, and it just doesn't seem to translate yet into, maybe it's people won't put their butts in the theaters all the time, but it feels like it's a really viable audience, and it just doesn't seem to be really served in a, you know, I guess in the way that we were talking about with like information and things that are, you know, really consciously inspiring and things like that. So.
I think that I just sort of am really rebellious and avoid the studio system as much as humanly possible. I kind of live outside. I mean, I kind of went quiet for 10 years and raised my small children who are bigger, 5 and 8 now. So I just kind of came back about a year ago into the world of really creating films again, and just felt like if I was going to be able to do, I mean, just to give you an example, when we finished the BLEEP, we took it to all the studios and we're told nobody would go see it, and that it was probably the worst movie ever made, and that it was horrible. And so I went back to Washington where I was living and went to Will, who was the financier and the other filmmaker, and said, we're going to have to do this ourselves. And he said, have you ever distributed a movie before in your life? And I said, no. And I started calling theaters, and we just did it ourselves. And that, from that, my own experience of like literally being on the phone with theaters, I sort of realized at that moment that like I don't actually need the studios. I'm just going to make my movies, and hopefully people will like them or won't like them. And so far, you know, it's been okay, because I think that unfortunately there's, in any structure, there becomes limitations, and people become really frightened about getting outside of the norm and doing something that's different. And I'm all about just being different and outside of the norm, and so it doesn't feel like I'm welcome there, quite frankly. You did it really well. I mean, your films were beautifully done, and there was wonderful messages there. I can't, I don't know how to.
Yeah, I understand the studio system is hard to navigate.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I think studio executives need to know 2 things. You said already, Michael, that there is, and someone used the word hunger, that there is a hunger for this. But they also need to know that we know how to make these movies entertaining and well. And if we can't deliver that, if we deliver sort of that floaty kind of film, you know, where we open on a lotus and then we end up. I mean, her film is called What the Fuck Do We Know That We Bleep Out? So it's already hitting us on a very base level, because we have bodies. You were saying to everybody, holy shit, really, and with an even stronger language. And so you grabbed people right away, entertained them, and then took them somewhere. That's what we have to tell these studio executives and show with our films and our actions, that we can do this and that people want it, that they're hungry. If you study films, you'll see that a raucous comedy can only make a certain amount of money. It'll just top out. But a raucous comedy with values and morality can just usurp that every time. So when you add the value quotient to whatever movie you're doing, whether it's an action film, a dramatic film, or a comedic film, you add that value quotient, you increase your box office guaranteed. It's just a guarantee, but you have to do it well.
But I think the studios have to be willing to go there. Like I saw Eat, Pray, Love, and I felt like it really didn't go to, it sort of, and there was a movie recently with Jennifer Aniston where they went into a
Wanderlust.
Wanderlust, where I felt like, you know, they just sort of, they didn't go to where I think our audience really wants to go. And because there's a way to go there without having to, you know, make fun of it or belittle it, or because I think there's this feeling that if they really go into what we want to talk about in terms of any of the subjects, it really, well, we can't talk about crystals, and we can't talk about aliens, and we can't, that's a little people, you know, so I think that, I mean, I recently was talking to a studio executive about my film Killing Buddha, and the first thing he said is, well, we have to change that title. And I said, well, no, we can't change that title. And that was my first reeling, we're going to offend Buddhists. I said, no, actually, you won't offend Buddhists because they know what the meaning of the title is. So that's the last group you're going to offend. You know, you might offend some other people who don't know, but that's the point. I want to offend those people because the whole point of the movie is about being willing to let go of your belief systems long enough to see something new and to see something different. So it just felt like, you know, I think the studio needs to know that people are all, this audience is much smarter and much more willing to go deeper than they give them credit for.